Some mysteries were never meant to be solved. Some crimes left no clues. And some people vanished forever. Welcome to Mystery Ledger, where real mysteries are uncovered.
December 2010. Midday on the Las Vegas Strip, one of the most famous boulevards in the world, is bathed in light. Tourists walk freely through one of the most luxurious casinos in the world. Everything seems normal. Inside the Bellagio, the energy is relaxed, routine, predictable. But the routine is about to be shattered. And then, a man in a black motorcycle helmet walks straight through the front doors. No mask, no disguise beyond the helmet. He looks like a commuter who took a wrong turn, but he knows exactly where he's going. The high-limit craps table, $1 million in reach. Minutes later, he leaves. He doesn't fire a shot. He doesn't even raise his voice. He leaves with over $1 million in casino chips. He disappears into the Vegas traffic. He escapes clean, no pursuit, no leads, the perfect crime, or so he thought. But days later, he makes one decision that destroys everything. A decision born of greed. He tries to sell the stolen chips online, in the very place where investigators are watching. He thought he was anonymous. He thought the internet was a shield. He was wrong. He robbed the Bellagio in broad daylight, and then advertised the evidence on the internet. The trap was set. The biker bandit was about to learn that some chips are impossible to cash. This is the story of the Bellagio Biker Bandit and the digital trail he couldn't erase. The suspect parks his black sport motorcycle near the entrance. Not hidden, not rushed. Helmet stays on, that matters. In a world where every inch is monitored, anonymity is the ultimate weapon. Inside casinos, facial recognition and surveillance are constant. Every move is logged, every face is archived. But helmets create a void, a digital blind spot. He knows the cameras are watching, but they can't see the man. He walks with purpose, not fast enough to draw attention. He blends into the flow of the city. Security sees thousands of visitors daily. To them, he's just another tourist, another gambler chasing a dream. Confidence is camouflage. In the middle of the noise, he is invisible. He knows exactly where he's going. He moves directly toward the craps table, not the cashier, not the cage, the craps table. Why the craps table? Because in the heart of the action, the rules of security change. High-denomination chips are often stacked openly during active play, thousands of dollars, just sitting there. And in that moment, the dealer's attention is on the dice, not the room. Everyone is watching the game. The room is focused on the roll, the tension of the bet, the noise of the crowd. It's the perfect distraction. The robbery lasted less than 3 minutes, a flash of motion in the middle of a routine Tuesday. Outside, the world went on. Inside, the Bellagio had just lost over $1 million, but even the fastest heist leaves a trail, and the digital world is a cold place to hide. He lifts his arm. A handgun appears, not a grand gesture, but a surgical one. Short, controlled movement, no shouting, no chaos. He doesn't want a scene, he wants the chips. Just a direct command to the dealer, 5 words that change everything. Hand over the chips. The dealer hesitates for a fraction of a second, a moment where time simply stops. That fraction matters. In this business, a second is an eternity, but training kicks in. Chips are pushed forward, high-value $5,000 chips, a small stack that represents a fortune. Over $1 million in seconds, a lifetime of earnings changed hands without a word. No shots fired, no resistance. The casino's defense is calculated, not emotional, because casinos train staff to protect life, not chips. The money is insured, the people are not. The calmness was more unsettling than violence, a quiet robbery in a loud city. The biker bandit had his million, now he just had to get out, but the house always has a way of tracking its own. In the silence that followed, the digital trail was already beginning to form, cold, persistent, unavoidable. The city never sleeps, and neither does the investigation. This was just the beginning of the end. He turns. The job is done. The transition from gambler to ghost begins. Walks, not runs, toward the exit. In this world, speed is a confession. Calmness is the only cover. Security reacts, but reaction time matters. In the city of lights, a few seconds are a lifetime. By the time alarms activate, he's already outside. The house is waking up, but the bird has flown. Helmet on. The visor clicks shut. A wall of plastic between the predator and the prey. Engine starts. a mechanical heartbeat in the quiet of the midday heat. The countdown has reached 0. Motorcycle accelerates into strip traffic. He blends into the neon veins of the city. No pursuit, no roadblock. The Bellagio is left behind in a wake of exhaust and silence. He disappears within seconds. One more face in a city built on losing track of people. It looked like a perfect escape, the kind of clean break legends are made of. But in Las Vegas, the eye in the sky never really closes. It just waits for the next move. While the bike roared away, the data was already moving faster, millions of pixels being analyzed. $1 million in chips is a heavy weight to carry, especially when they're all marked for detection. The biker bandit was gone, but the investigation was just finding its rhythm. The chase was on, and it was only a matter of time before the digital trail led home. Here's what he didn't fully consider. The biker bandit was a master of the entry and the exit, but he forgot the nature of the assets themselves. Casino chips, especially high-denomination ones, are traceable. They are data points masquerading as currency. Each casino tracks large-value chips like a bank tracks gold bars. Every transaction is logged, every movement is watched. Serial numbers, unique markings, codes hidden in the patterns that tell the house exactly where that chip belongs. Markings that are invisible to the naked eye, but screaming to a scanner. These aren't just tokens, they're tracking devices. The moment those chips were taken, they were flagged in a digital registry, dead on arrival. They are not cash, they are credit, and that credit is tied exclusively to the Bellagio vault. Outside the issuing casino, they are often worthless, just plastic and clay without the house's blessing. $1 million in his pocket, but he might as well have been carrying a bag of stones. He had stolen $1 million, a king's ransom in his hands, the ultimate score. But it was a mountain of dead weight, $1 million that he couldn't spend, couldn't trade, and couldn't hide. You can't buy a car with Bellagio chips, you can't pay rent with a $25,000 token. The money was trapped, that he couldn't easily spend. The money was everywhere, and yet it was nowhere. The perfect score was becoming a prison. The city of chance had just played its best hand. Now the bandit had to decide how to fold. So how do you cash in chips that everyone is watching? The answer to that question would be his final mistake. Days later, a listing appears online, a single post in a dark corner of the web. High-denomination Bellagio casino chips, for sale, on a public forum. $1 million secret, broadcast to the world. The bandit thought he was smart. He thought he was untouchable, but every keystroke was a signature. This was the turning point, the moment the perfect crime became a digital disaster. Because once the chips went public, digital breadcrumbs began forming. Thousands of lines of data converging on one point. The internet is never anonymous. It remembers everything you try to forget. IP addresses, usernames, communication logs, the invisible strings that tie a ghost to a name. Investigators didn't need a confession. They didn't need a witness. They just needed the data to speak. While the city bet on red and black, the investigation was betting on binary, ones and zeros leading to a front door. They needed a trail, a path through the noise of the strip and into the silence of the server room. And the trail was digital, a spider's web of connections that the biker bandit couldn't see but was already caught in. The clock was ticking. In the digital world, evidence is permanent, and time is the enemy. Armed robbery was bold. It was a feat of physical daring that stunned the city. But the internet was reckless, $1 million mistake that couldn't be deleted. The trap was closing, and the biker bandit was about to learn that in the 21st century, you can't run from your own digital ghost. The investigation had a name. A ghost finally had a face. The suspect was identified as Anthony Carleo. But he wasn't what they expected. Not a hardened criminal, not a career thief. He was something far more complicated. The son of a Las Vegas judge, a detail that sent shockwaves through the department and the city. That detail intensified media attention. The spotlight was no longer just on a heist. It was on a family legacy. Because now the story wasn't just robbery. It was privilege, pressure, and expectation. The narrative had shifted. The halls of justice were now intimately connected to the scene of the crime. The irony was heavy. He reportedly had gambling debts, a secret weight he carried through the neon noise of the casinos. Financial strain, $1 million heist to pay off a life of losing hands. Greed wasn't the only motive. Emotional volatility, a man walking a tightrope between a respected name and a desperate act. But motive doesn't erase mistakes. The law doesn't care why you broke it, only that you did. The evidence was mounting, and the digital trail he left behind was louder than any confession. His background made the fall even louder, a crash from the heights of privilege to the reality of a cell. Anthony Carleo wasn't just a suspect, he was a symbol of a gamble that went horribly wrong. The city was waking up to a different kind of headline, one that wouldn't be forgotten soon. Undercover officers arranged to purchase chips. A digital trap was becoming a physical reality. A meeting was set in the heart of the city under the weight of 1,000 tons of concrete. Controlled environment, every angle was covered, every exit was blocked. The house was playing a patient game. Once identification was confirmed, arrest followed. The shadow finally had a name, and the name was in the net. No dramatic chase, no tires screaming on pavement. This was a quiet conclusion to a loud crime. No shootout. In the silence of the garage, the only sound was the cold click of reality. Just handcuffs, metal on skin, the million-dollar dream ending in a 6x8 cell. The same calm energy that defined the robbery, defined its end. A mirror image of the crime itself. Defined its end. The biker bandit was no longer a headline, he was a case file, cold, closed. The house didn't need revenge, it didn't need to shout, it just needed to wait. It needed patience, and in Las Vegas, the house has all the time in the world. The gamble was over, the biker bandit had lost the most important bet of his life. Anthony Carleo would find that some debts can never be paid off, not with chips, not with cash. The city moved on, new games, new bets, but the ledger never forgets a name. The biker bandit's story ends here, but in the mystery ledger, the cases are never ending. Join us next time. Anthony Carleo was charged with armed robbery and other offenses. The weight of the law was finally pressing down. The halls of justice are cold and quiet when the cameras are off. It's where the stories finally end. He eventually accepted a plea deal, a signature on a dotted line to trade freedom for time. The chips were recovered. The plastic tokens that once represented a $1 million future were now just evidence. The money returned, back to the house, back to the vault where it all began. The cycle was complete. The escape that seemed flawless collapsed under the weight of its own digital shadow, collapsed under one decision. One moment of arrogance in a life of calculated risks. Not during the robbery, not when the heart was pounding and the dice were rolling. That part was easy. But after, in the long, quiet hours of the aftermath, that's when the real mistakes happen. Most criminals aren't caught during the crime. The adrenaline keeps them sharp. The fear keeps them careful. They're caught after they believe they got away with it. When the caution fades and the internet calls, the biker bandit's name is etched into the ledger of the city's greatest failures, a story of a $1 million gamble that lost. The case is closed, the chips are back in the rack, and the house, as always, is ready for the next player. Anthony Carleo's story ends here, but in the neon shadows of the Strip, there's always another story waiting to be told.
Some mysteries are solved, and some are forgotten, and some are still waiting. You're watching Mystery Ledger. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you in the next investigation.